Today, we are exploring what is going on with our energy and why we feel so tired even when we get enough sleep. We feel like if we just got more sleep, maybe it would get better, and then we get more sleep and we still freaking feel tired. What is up with that? We're going to talk about it. More sleep is not the only piece of this energy equation, and we really need to look holistically at how are we producing energy and where is our energy going. And there are some really common habits and routines and choices that we're making in our lives that is actually leaking our energy. Hey mama, welcome back to the Thrive Mama podcast. I'm Martina, certified nutrition consultant and holistic health coach and a mama of two. And I'm so glad you're here. I am here to help busy moms unlock their energy, balance their hormones, and break out of burnout using nutrition as a foundation. We will dive into actionable strategies on nutrition, nervous system healing, and aligning with your cycles with a healthy dose of relatable motherhood thrown in. All designed to help you move past surviving to actually thrive in motherhood. Let's do this. We are tired. We're tired. It seems like no matter how much sleep we get, it seems like no matter how much rest we're taking, we just feel tired. What is going on with that? And is there ever a world where we're not going to feel tired? Today, we are exploring what is going on with our energy and why we feel so tired even when we get enough sleep. We feel like if we just got more sleep, maybe it would get better, and then we get more sleep and we still freaking feel tired. What is up with that? We're going to talk about it. We're going to explore it today because there is probably more going on with fatigue, with just generally feeling tired than we're even aware of. And we're filming this episode the week after my oldest's 5-year-old birthday party. And I just realized we still are rocking some hair tinsel happening in here. So if you catch some like red orange glimmers in the hair, it's not a new patch of grays. It is in fact tinsel from the party. If you're planning a young girl birthday party, highly recommend the like crimp in hair tinsel. It was a blast. And really fits with my Gemini theme of more creative expression and more playfulness and fun. So I am here for it. But sparkly tinsel aside, my love, fatigue or just general tiredness is so real and so pervasive, especially for caregivers of any kind. And we're really going to explore this today because there is likely more going on under the surface with your energy than you're even aware of. And it has way more going on than just sleep. We think the answer is getting more sleep, and we all probably need more sleep, but more sleep is not the only piece of this energy equation, and we really need to look holistically at how are we producing energy and where is our energy going, because all of us probably need to really support the systems that make energy in our body, but we also need to look at where we're leaking energy out. Two important sides of this coin here. Where are we leaking energy out and where can we reclaim that? I talk a lot about this idea of having an energy bucket, okay? And I teach my clients how to add drops to the bucket, how to add energy into your energy bucket, which is great. But if all we're doing is focusing on adding more energy into the body and we never address the energy leaks that are up in your bucket, you're going to still end up struggling to feel energized because all that energy is just going to leak all over the place. So we want to seal up our bucket while we're adding more energy into it so we can actually feel vibrant and alive and balanced and nourished in our really busy lives. So what I would love to explore with you today is breaking down a little bit of where our energy is going, why we're feeling so tired even when we're sleeping enough, and some really practical strategies for starting to plug the energy leaks and support energy production. I'm not going to get too into the weeds of the science and the cellular energy production and ATP and all the things that go into this equation. I would really love to focus this conversation on practical strategies to start to refill your energy bucket in a way that is long lasting and sustainable. But in order to do that, we do need to look at the flow of energy in your life and start to understand where our energy might be going and why we're feeling as tired as we are. So, I really consider energy leaks anything that is draining our energy faster than we can produce energy and leaves us feeling more tired than we started. And yes, we are going to use energy throughout the day. And some of the things we're using energy on are really worthwhile. They are worth the energy cost to do them. But we want to be able to reproduce the energy we need to move forward in a way that is not going to leave us depleted. If an activity or a habit or an action is leaving us more depleted than we started, if we cannot produce energy fast enough to account for the energy loss, that's a leak. That's an energy leak. So we want to be really mindful of where our energy is going. And there are some really common habits and routines and choices that we're making in our lives that is actually leaking our energy. We're going to deep dive a few of the most common energy leaks here, but a few that I just want to list off before we start going deep. Things like the way we use our technology is actually depleting our energy faster than we can produce it. How we are using our nutrition, the fuel in our body, for sure, could be producing or leaking energy. Blood sugar balance and swings could be producing or depleting energy. Stress cycles. So you can see how there's a lot more to this equation than just sleep. Okay, sleep matters. Sleep is so important for regeneration, for brain processing, for healing, for so much. We need more sleep than we're getting, most of us. And it's not the only factor in our energy. If we look at energy at a cellular level, we look at it as what's being produced and what's being spent, we can see that that flow has a lot going on. And all of us likely have places in our lives where we are spending energy faster than we are producing it. And this is good news for parents because if you're in a season of life where more sleep doesn't actually feel accessible for whatever reason, there are things you can do to support your energy to feel more alert and alive in the meantime. While you're waiting this season out to get more sleep, there are things you can do to feel better today because energy is actually about so much more than just sleep. So let's talk about reason number one that so many of us are tired even though we're getting enough sleep, and that is we are not eating enough food. Period. And this happens for a lot of reasons. For many of us, the amount of food we're eating is either impacted by some pretty outdated diet culture mentalities about what the right amount of food is. Perhaps it's being impacted by the amount of time or energy in our day to fuel ourselves, trying to fit it in when it's convenient, trying to multitask our way through. We also often are in loops of stress responses that actually suppress our hunger cues. There's a lot of reasons that we may not be experiencing hunger cues. Stress is a big one. Digestive imbalances is another one. So for some of us, we are under eating on accident because we're eating when we're hungry, but our hunger cues are dysregulated. So there's a lot that goes into this bucket of under eating. There's also a version of this that I call undernourishing. That's a little bit different. Under eating is like we're just straight up not getting the calories we need in our life, okay? Which happens more than you think. I know we get this narrative that we're all overeating and that's the problem with our health. It's possible to overeat for sure, especially more refined and processed foods. But for most of the busy moms I work with or women who are seeking more vitality, they are not overeating. They are either undereating or undernourishing. Okay. And undernourishing is a little bit different. Undereating is just about the amount, the calories. Undernourishing is when we are likely getting the calories we need on paper. We're getting the right amount of food, but we are not getting the amount of nourishment, nutrients. We're talking vitamins and minerals. We're talking fiber and protein grams and like, do we have enough iron and do we have enough B vitamins and like literally the nourishment that our body needs? Because I'm sure we could all think right now of foods that give us calories but don't give us nourishment, right? Those exist. So there's a difference between under eating and under nourishing. Some people are doing both. Some people really just need to look at one or the other. Even if we're eating a super nutritious food, if we are not eating enough of it, we're going to struggle to produce the energy we need. We are under eating. And even if we're eating an appropriate amount of food, if we're not intentional about the balance on our plate, we end up under nourishing. And both of those are big energy leaks. Both of those are going to leave us feeling depleted and exhausted because our cells need nourishment, nutrients to produce our energy. Okay. So that's one big bucket. It's something we explore inside of Thrive Mama, my group coaching program. It's something we explore working one-on-one with folks because it is highly individual, but also so foundational to look at if energy is a goal of yours. Another really common reason that we're feeling really tired, even when we get enough sleep, is that we are ignoring our cycles. And I teach a lot about cycle wisdom in my platforms and my courses because it is really foundational to how we work with our energy. Our energy is not the same every day. If we are a cyclical being, if you have cycles in your body, you need to be aware of how your energy is shifting day to day throughout your month. So here's what happens here. We focus so much on consistency because that is what society has taught us is valued, consistency. So we try to show up the exact same way every day with the same energy, the same productivity, the same social battery, everything. And we are not the same in our body every day. Our hormones dramatically change throughout our month. Your brain changes up to 25% at different times of your cycle. 25% your brain function is changing at different times of your menstrual cycle. Your metabolism is completely different at the beginning and end of your cycle. Your blood sugar regulation, your digestion, your stress capacity, all of these things shift dramatically based on how our hormones are interacting with our menstrual cycle. And if we try to act the same every day, we easily dig ourselves into a burnout hole. I've been sharing about this over on my Instagram recently because I am in a burnout cycle, or really, I'm coming out of a burnout cycle right now because of this energy leak. Because as much as I preach and teach cycles, I fell in to myself to productivity spirals, to disconnecting from the medicine I teach about, to pushing through, especially my luteal phase and my bleed. And it left me after a couple of cycles in a deep well of exhaustion because I was not honoring the ebbs and flows of my body. So if you are always feeling like I'm so inconsistent, I can't like keep up with my goals, I can't keep up with the things I'm doing, last Saturday I was like so motivated to deep clean the whole house. And now this Saturday we were supposed to finish, but I just want to lay on the couch and do nothing. What's wrong with me? Like we get in these narratives about what it means. And actually, what it means is you are living in a human body that has cycles. That's it. That's all it means. And if we honor those cycles, we actually have a lot more energy to work with. And our energy can compound month after month. It can build momentum instead of draining. It's not a finite well that drains. When we're working with our cycles, it actually builds momentum and each cycle feeds into the next. So if you're not already tracking and working with your menstrual cycle and energy is a goal of yours, this is really something to pay attention to. And I have a few different resources of how to do that. I'll leave some details in the show notes of this episode if you want to explore next steps about learning about your cycle, learning how to work with your cycle, with nutrition, with energy. But it's a huge reason that some of us are exhausted even when we're getting enough sleep. We're just ignoring what part of our cycle we're on, period. And once we really re-embrace cyclical living and cyclical wisdom, we unlock our energy in a completely different way. Another really common reason that we are tired even when we're getting enough sleep actually has to do with our circadian rhythm. And our circadian rhythm is that 24-hour cycle that signals when we are awake, when we're asleep, when we're energized, when we're winding down. It also controls everything from digestion to like periods of creativity, to hunger cravings. Like so much of our energy, sleep, digestion is run by the circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is like a hormonal dance that just continues to cycle through our body day after day. It's a really foundational part of how our hormones and energy works. And the tricky thing is, circadian rhythm relies almost entirely on light environment to know what's up. So that means we have sensors in our eyes that are transmitting like communication to our circadian rhythm to know what's going on. So when we spend our days inside, looking at screens, surrounded by artificial light, staring at cell phones, it really throws off our circadian rhythm. Our internal clock has no idea what time it is. It has no idea when to upregulate energy or when to start winding down for sleep. It has no idea when to move digestion along and when to slow it down because the internal clock is way out of whack. We are not out in nature enough. We are not synced with the sun and with the day. So, a really easy way to start working with your circadian rhythm is to be aware of the light you're surrounding yourself with whenever possible, but especially in the first couple hours of the day and the last couple hours of the day. Sunlight in early morning and in late evening has a very specific like color ratio that it's made up of. It's very high in infrared light, and that is signaling to the body either it's time to wake up, it start to spike our cortisol, spike our energy production, start kickstarting digestion in the morning, or it's telling us it is time to wind down. It is time to slow down digestion, can start to get sleepy. We're producing melatonin. What's really interesting is that melatonin is produced on like a 12-hour time release. So when we get our early morning sunlight in the morning, that starts a 12-hour time release, and melatonin will be produced approximately 12 hours later. Melatonin helps us sleep, of course. So if we are not getting outside in the morning, our melatonin production is delayed and it can impact how well we're able to go to sleep. If you ever feel like you're ready to go to bed, the kids are finally asleep, you turn off the lights, and then you like can't wind down. You're like wired, you're energized, you're maybe a little anxious, racy thoughts, or you are just kind of a night owl and you like can't settle down. I promise you, circadian rhythm is going to transform both the amount and the quality of sleep you're getting. Because even if we are getting the right hours of sleep, if our quality, if the restoration, if the depth of our sleep is not there, we're going to wake up still feeling tired. And the circadian rhythm has a huge role to play in all of that. So there's a lot that goes into circadian rhythm, but really trying to get outside first thing in the morning and in the evening and trying to limit blue light in those times. So phones, computers, indoor lights, limiting them as much as possible, using blue light filters, blue light glasses, like whatever you can do to limit blue light in the morning and evening and get yourself outside as much as possible. I teach my clients how to do this kind of like 4 times a day circadian rhythm check, which is early morning, around midday, like 11 or 12 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. when the sun is typically like at its, starting its like descent from its peak, and then sunset-ish time. So those are the 4 times you can prioritize getting outside. Early morning, lunch-ish time, midday, mid-afternoon, and evening. Getting outside for about 10 minutes at each of those times will help regulate your circadian clock. So we're limiting blue light, getting outside for those 4 times a day, or at least morning and night, so that we can really start to regulate the circadian rhythm. And then the last piece of energy that I just wanted to explore with you today, that is a core reason that so many of us are tired, even though we're like doing the things, even though we're sleeping, we're eating right, all the things, is stress. It's stress. It is our nervous system being in overdrive or being in freeze or shutdown mode. And it is leaving our cells in defensive response and unable to produce enough energy to keep up with the stress response. It is a major leak. It is depleting our energy so much faster than we can produce it when we're stuck in stress response cycles. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, especially caregivers, especially if we have young kids, we are in this overwhelmed stress response more than we realize. And it will leave you depleted every single time. So, there's obviously a lot that goes into this, and it's so much easier said than done. Just like stop being stressed. But this is where our nervous system tools come in. This is where we use nutrition foundations like blood sugar balance, hormone support, cellular health to support the nervous system. But it's also where we work with the nervous system itself, where we move energy through the body, where we process emotions through the body, where we build a toolbox to recenter inside of ourselves, to be sovereign in our energy, so that even when our environment is wacky, we can stay centered, we can stay grounded. And it is a practice that takes time and devotion to build. But once you start expanding your nervous system capacity to feel safe, once you start training your body that even with a long to-do list, we're safe. Even with screaming kids, we're safe. Even with a fight with our partner, we're safe. Even with a boss that is mad at us, we're safe. We can actually train the body to expand its like sphere of safety so that we are activated less often and so that we stay activated for less time. We're never supposed to stay like calm all the time. That's not what the nervous system is for. We're not meant to live our life in some like Zen calm state. We should be interacting and responding to our environment, and we're supposed to have natural ups and downs in our activation. What we don't want is to be in chronic stress cycles and to get stuck in a stress loop. It is depleting us big time, and it's unfortunately where a lot of us live a lot of the time. So, I share a lot of resources about nervous system tools, breathwork techniques, morning routine strategies to expand nervous system capacity, responding in the moment, making sure our blood sugar and hormones are stable. There's so much that goes into this. But as a bucket, I just want to offer it as a potential reason that you feel so tired even when you're sleeping, even when you're eating the right foods. You feel so tired because your nervous system's activated and it's depleting energy faster than you can create it. Okay. So, those are a few of the big reasons. Now, not all of those might have been applicable to you. Maybe just one or two of them are your core reasons, but really trust your instinct about what's going on with you, where your area of growth is. And I gave you a few places to start with all of them. Okay. We're either under eating or undernourishing. We are ignoring our cycles and the natural flow of energy in our bodies. We need to heal and balance the circadian rhythm, or we need to really focus on the nervous system. Now, all of that can be supported with our nutrition and with herbs, which is so cool to get into the science of how our nutrition actually does branch into all of those things. And that is really at the core of the work that I get to do with folks. I just want to throw out as we close a few last energy leaks that may be present for you. These are energy leaks that we dive into in my group programs inside of Thrive Mama. And we're not going to go into great detail, but some of them might be sticky for you. Might be like, oh, that's something to think about. So, a few other reasons going on here that you are tired, even though you're getting the sleep you need. Your relationship with technology, with your phone, with social media. Blue light plus nervous system activation literally is draining your energy. People pleasing tendencies. Lack of boundaries, lack of prioritizing our needs, constantly people pleasing or appeasing those around us, huge energy leak. Low hormones. This is really common postpartum if you've had a baby anytime in the last like 5 to 7 years and you haven't done intentional hormonal healing. It's very common for one or more of our main hormones to be low. Progesterone's a really common one that's going to cause low energy. Estrogen is also often low, especially if we've ever taken hormonal birth control or we're on some kind of birth control now, can really, so low hormones, just in general as a bucket, which we dive much more into inside of Thrive Mama, but is something to get curious about, or perhaps talk to your doctor about doing some hormone labs so that you can get a sense of where your hormones are. And the last one that I think is really interesting but important is a disconnect from our passion, from our joy. And this is not so much about doing less. Like often with burnout or exhaustion, we're like, okay, I need to rest. I need to slow down. I need to clear my plate. I need to take naps. Sometimes that's true. But sometimes this exhaustion or burnout patterns or just feeling tired all the time, it's actually because we don't have enough joy. We don't have enough excitement. We're disconnected from the things that light us up. We're disconnected from the things that make us us. And this happens a lot in our motherhood initiation, especially when our kids are really young. It is all consuming and it's very challenging to continue to prioritize our own identity outside of our children and to make time and space for our passions, for our hobbies, for the things that bring us joy. So I just want you to feel in too. Is there a need? Is there a void right now for passion, for joy? Okay. I know our children bring us joy. They absolutely do. But what are the things that really light you up or used to light you up? And are they still present in your life? Are you feeling tired because you don't have enough to be excited about, to look forward to be connected to? This is our life force. This is our passion. And sometimes it's not that we're doing too much, it's that we're actually not doing enough of the stuff that lights us up. So that is another thing to just lean into, to consider, to reflect on as you are looking at this whole energy picture. And if you really want to start to understand your energy, your body, your vitality in a more holistic way, Thrive Mama is opening doors really soon. Thrive Mama is my group coaching program that is an incredibly holistic look at thriving in your body through motherhood, especially through busy seasons of your life, how we use nutrition as the foundation, how we weave in nervous system healing, cellular support, hormones, flowing with our cycles, like all these pillars that we're talking about, we dive into inside of Thrive Mama. And it is the sacred container of energy transformation. I am obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with everybody that comes through. It has been such a joy to hold the space with this community of just like incredible moms, incredible women who are just looking to really awaken their energy and like step into their lives in a new, present, and balanced way. So if that is you, I want you on the wait list so that you hear when doors open. Our wait list also often gets a little discount in the first couple days that doors are open. So make sure you're on the wait list so you can be first notified and get the wait list discount to join Thrive Mama. We'll be starting in July. Doors are opening soon, and I want you in the loop. So check out the link in the comments below and you can read more about that. So my love, we're going to wrap it there. Today we dropped like so many just little nuggets. I just kind of like dumped them everywhere and you get to pick up whichever pieces are really pulling at you. So whatever piece of this energy puzzle you feel like is your next step, I want you to start there. If you have questions about any of these pillars or you want me to talk more about them, let me know. I would love to record a future episode on it or chat with you in my DMs over on Instagram and talk about how we can support you with any of these pieces or questions that you might have. If you found this conversation helpful, I would love a little like. You can subscribe to the show so you don't miss future episodes. Share this with your mama bestie who deserves more energy and more life force in her busy life. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what resonated, what questions you have, what reflections are coming up. I would just love to connect. So until next time, take beautiful care of yourself.